Today we've got a beautiful parable with you, a beautiful story that I wish to share with you. And when I read it the first time, I was quite amazed by this. But please, if you can just bear with me and listen to this story, inshallah, you'll get great benefit from it. It's narrated that Sayyidina Ikrama radiyallahu ta'ala stated that there was a country whose king was very cruel and stingy. He made this announcement one day. He said that no one shall give anything in sadaqah to any fakir or a miskeen, and nor shall anyone help any poor person. If anybody does so, I will cut off his hand. Before I go forward with the rest of this parable, I just want to explain what a miskeen is. And with reference to Bahari Shariat, volume 1, page 924, it states that miskeen is the one who does not have anything, does not have anything to eat or even to cover his body. And for this he asks people, and for him it is halal to ask. For a fakir, it is impermissible to ask for something, as if someone has something to eat and to cover his body. It is haram for him to ask for something without any need or compulsion. So this is the difference between a fakir and miskeen. Back to the story, the king had made an announcement, and the king had made an announcement that no one shall give any sadaqah or to any fakir or miskeen, and no one shall help anyone that is classed as poor. And if anybody does so, then I will cut off his hand. Obviously, hearing this, everybody in the kingdom, they became very, very scared. One day, a helpless fakir, i.e. a poor person, went to a woman and said to him, "Please give me something to eat for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal." The woman said, "Our king has announced that the hand of the person who will give sadaqah to anyone will be cut off. How can I give anything to you?" The poor person once again said, "Please give me something to eat for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal." Filled with pity for him and ignoring the warning that the king had given to him, the woman gave him 2 rotis for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. Taking these 2 rotis, these 2 pieces of bread, the poor person left and he made dua for her. When the king became aware that such and such woman had violated this order, he sent 2 soldiers who cut off both of her hands. Allahu Akbar. After some time, after this event, some time later, the king said to his mother, "Tell me, who is the most beautiful woman in the kingdom? I want to marry her." His mother replied, "In our country, there is a woman who is the most beautiful one in my opinion. I have never seen any other woman more beautiful than her. But there is a big defect in her. Both of her hands have been cut off." The king ordered that the woman be brought to his court, and the order was carried out, and the king married her with her consent. And they started to live happily. Now the king, he had other wives, and the other wives started feeling jealous day and night, and they tried all sorts of things to degrade the new bride in front of the king, but they could not succeed in their evil plan. Once, the king had to go and fight an army, and so he went into war, and he was away for a long period of time. Seizing upon this opportunity, the other wives sent a letter to the king. And in this letter they said that in your absence, your new bride has become unfaithful to you, and she has even given birth to a baby. When the king received this letter, he sent a message to his mother saying that the woman, his new wife, along with the baby, be turned out to the country. Now this baby was actually the king's baby, but he didn't know this. Therefore, with a piece of cloth around her neck and the newborn baby inside, because the poor woman, she didn't have any hands. So she had a cloth around the neck, and it was like a cradle, and inside the cradle the baby was put, and this poor woman, she was sent out to the kingdom. She was turned out of the country and forced to live in a remote jungle, where she continued to wander from here and there. She was very thirsty, and she reached a stream in search of water. Now you can imagine a situation, and as she bowed down to drink the water, because she had this cloth around her, as she bowed down to drink the water, her child fell into the water and began to drown. Seeing her drowning son, she began to cry. Because obviously there's nothing she could do. She didn't have the hands to be able to grab hold of the child and pick it out of the stream. And so the baby is now drowning, the child is now drowning, and she is helpless. And she's crying for her son. In the meantime, two beautiful young men came and asked her for the reason of the crying. And she said, "My son has drowned and I am crying for this reason." The beautiful young men said to her, "Do you want us to bring back your drowned child back to you?" She anxiously said, "Yes, of course. I want Allah Azza wa Jal to return me my drowned child." These young men made dua and brought her drowned son back and handed it over to her. Allahu Akbar. They then asked her another question. "O kind-hearted woman, do you want to be blessed with both of your hands once again, so that you are no longer handicapped?" She replied, "Yes, I want whatever is the will of Allah Azza wa Jal." Therefore, the two young men made dua, and she was blessed with her hands again. The woman thanked Allah Azza wa Jal. The young men then asked her, "O great woman, do you know who we are?" Allahu Akbar. Listen to this. Listen to this. These two beautiful men who'd come and they'd done dua for her so that her child can be brought back to her, so that her hands can be restored to her. They now asked her a question. "Do you know who we are?" And she replied, "I do not know who you are." And they said, "We are the very same two pieces of bread, the same two rotis that you gave to that helpless person." Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Viewers of Madani Channel, we can learn from this that sadaqah given in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal does never ever become fruitless. In addition to the sawab of the hereafter, one also receives many blessings in this world and remains safe from many troubles. She, this particular person, felt pity for the hungry person and gave him 2 pieces of bread. Sadaqah for the pleasure, only for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. Even though she had to face difficulties, even though at that time she lost both of her hands, and even though the king's wife conspired against her, both of her hands were cut off, she was turned out of the country, her son was drowned, but she continued to face these difficulties with great patience. And as a result of this, Allah Azza wa Jal blessed her with help from the Ghaib.
We love Madani Channel. We love Madani Channel. We love Madani Channel.